All right, today we are going to do something that I have never done before. So I am super stoked and I think you're going to love this. All right. It's hard to find these. So get ready. This is going to be good. All right. So, number one, we're going to find a stock that's selling for, okay, it's a little bit over $1, but the first digit is still $1. All right. About a little over $1 per share. And in this video, I'm going to lay out how, why, and even when it could jump by 100%. Artwork. That's supposed to be the head exploding emoji, but hey, we're using Sharpie pens and paper here, so it's a little bit like low tech, yeah. And most exciting of all, because I know many of you are very into wanting gains very, very fast. I mean, think about waiting. I mean, nobody cares for that. Everybody wants fast, quick gains, right? And it's going to come through one stock. So let's start with why. All right. Why can this one stock do this? Well, there is a major event coming for this particular stock, a major event, big. But to tell you about this major event, I go a little bit into some backstory. Promise is going to be quick, all right? And it's going to be worth it. Just think. One stock, 100% in one day, $1 stock. So this is going to be worth it. So hang in there with me. All right. It's one of my favorite sectors, biotechnology, which often tends to just have these kinds of events that can just drive very rapid gains. I'm sure you've seen it. I mean, in my history, I have seen biotech stocks spike by 400% in a day. Yeah, no joke, 400% in a day. So this is definitely the sector where, there's just big, rapid moves that happen. And there's a reason for that, all right? Biotechnology stocks, in general terms, fit into two categories: commercial stage and clinical stage, all right? The stock that we're going to talk about today is a clinical stage, but just for your information, commercial stage means that the company really derives from sales and sales growth. In other words, they have a drug, it's been approved by the FDA, and there are doctors prescribing it. And as a result of that, their sales go up. That's a commercial stage company. Now, a clinical stage company, well, they don't have any drugs that are approved by the FDA. The FDA, by the way, is the part of the government that approves drugs and medicines. And you cannot sell a drug or medicine in the United States or in most countries in the world without approval from some sort of regulatory government body. Now, if you're a clinical stage company, you don't have any drugs to sell. So why would a stock go up or down? Well, there's these events. There are these events associated with drugs that are in their pipeline. All right. So the $1 stock that I'm going to tell you at the end of this presentation is a clinical stage biotech. All right. And it is about to go through the biggest event of this stock's history. And there is a date associated with it, January 30th of 2023, the biggest event in this company's and this stock's history. All right. And this event is the potential FDA approval. Because the way that things work is that a biotechnology company has to send, I don't know, 20 binders full of information. I believe it's still sent by paper. I think it's sent in a hard drive as well, but it's also sent by paper. And then they have to wait for the FDA to tell them if they've sort of like ticked all the boxes and everything is right. So the event is FDA approval, and January 30th deadline date. And this event, if you go look it up, is called PDUFA, PDUFA, which stands for Prescription Drug User Fee Amendment Act. And it refers to the law that really created this application process, because the biotech and healthcare companies got tired of the FDA essentially taking years and years and years. So the government said, well, if you pay for a process where we will kind of give you at least some kind of timeline by which you can expect to hear from the FDA, well, we will set that up. And so as a result, there is a specified date now. And so when a drug company goes to apply for a drug to be approved, you get a PDUFA date. And it can be either 10 months from the time they accept your application or 6 months. Our $1 biotechnology company is in that second category, meaning that it is a priority approval. So it's a 6 months. So January 30th, you track back 6 months. So you must have applied back in August, right, of 2022, which is why the PDUFA date is on January 30th of 2023. So the 100% in one day, what was it? Why is that related, or to this PDUFA thing? So in my experience, and I used to cover biotechnology for a very large asset management company, so run a healthcare team, and I covered biotechnology. I have long experience in these companies. So what I have seen, and biotech investors know this, and even some of our readers at ATG Digital Media know this, which is that sometimes on these biotech PDUFA day events, you get these pops, these huge pops of 100%, sometimes even more, 200 or 300%. And why does that happen? Well, it's because of short covering. So what's short covering? Well, short covering is because there is always some possibility that the FDA may not approve the drug. And so some people, they like to bet on that, because oftentimes if the FDA says no, or says, well, you need to give us some more information, come back to us in 3 months or 6 months, then the stock can go down, because remember, these companies have no current products for sale. So really all of the value is really driven by the fact that people are expecting these events to occur. And so if the PDUFA date or the process becomes something that is seen as a failure, well, the stock will go down. And so there's always somebody who is short the stock. But equally, because of the fact that those folks are there, if they're wrong, and if the company gets approval, well, then they have to cover. So when they go to cover, they have to go and buy the stock up. And now, if there's nobody willing to sell it to them for the lower price, they got to pay whatever the new market price is. And so that is one way by which you get 100% pop in one day. The other possibility for the 100% pop in one day is from a takeover or an acquisition by another company. And we ourselves have experienced this in our portfolio recently, where we've had a couple of companies gotten taken over. And why would that happen? Because when a stock is subject to a takeover or acquisition, its price jumps on the day that the acquisition or takeover is announced. In other words, let's say a company like Pfizer says, oh, we're going to buy XYZ biotech company today, and we are going to pay a new higher price, because to get control of a company, you are forced to pay a much higher price. Stock can just pop in one day. And how is this related to the biotech company and PDUFA and all of that? Well, companies with drugs that are going through an approval that is going to happen soon sometimes get acquired right before approval, because the company that's buying, they're like, well, if the approval comes, other companies may want to come to buy it. There would be more competition and the price would be higher. Obviously, if you're buying the company before it gets approval, you're taking on that risk that maybe it doesn't get approval. Maybe it's going to be, something that gets approval a little bit later. So of course the price is a little bit lower. And so they essentially jump the gun and go and buy the company before they're getting approval, because they want control of this drug, control of this company, control of the technology, product, and service. All right. We went through a lot of information, by the way, so well done for staying there. And now is the big reveal moment. Just want to mention before I give you the big reveal moment that this channel, not investment advice, yeah, opinion, engagement, entertainment of a financial kind. We're not financial advisors, so win, lose, gain, loss, on you. It's your money, it's your responsibility, not investment advice, opinion. All right, having said that, so big reveal. So the stock is a small little biotech company called Gamida Cell. It's actually out of Israel. And the ticker symbol is GMDA. The stock price is $1.67. All right. Still in the dollar territory. All right. I know some people's like, well, Paul, it's not a dollar. Hey, come on. Starts with a one. All right. Qualifies. All right. Market cap. I mean, this is a tiny company. 124 million. So even if it were to jump by 100%, it would just be a $248 million company. I can tell you that the drug that they have, in my opinion, it could generate, 50, 100 million a year. So, I mean, 100%, if somebody came to take it over, that would be conservative. 100%, if they got approval and people start to think like, well, this company is going to sell $50 million of this drug per year, 100 million per year. Where would they make the shorts cover? Who knows? 100% higher, 300% higher? I don't know. Could be much higher. So going back again to the sort of summary, PDUFA date coming up on January 30th, 2023. Fair warning, the FDA, despite being required by law to give an answer by January 30th, sometimes they'll say, well, we've fallen behind and we're going to take another month or 3 months. So sometimes these dates do get delayed. I mean, the FDA, well, it's part of the government. They're allowed to do that. And during COVID, a lot of these PDUFA dates, well, they got pushed out. So that is one risk associated with this PDUFA date, that maybe the date, is more approximate than, being precise. But all signals are, from looking at the company's research, is that the FDA really kind of wants this drug to be approved. And I say that because I mentioned earlier that there are two forms of PDUFA dates that are given. One is based on a priority review, and this drug got a priority review, which is often a signal that the FDA likes the data, likes the results, the clinical trial results, and wants to get this treatment in the hands of doctors, and so that patients can benefit. If you go and look up the drug on Gamida Cell's website, you'll see that the drug's name is omidubicel. I'm probably not pronouncing it right, but I doubt that there's actually a right pronunciation for this. All right, so you can go with whatever you want. Omidubicel, that's the pronunciation I came up with. And it is the first drug of its kind for patients with blood cancers that need stem cell transplants. And it's estimated that, something like 7,000 plus people at minimum need this. So it was the first drug of its kind. If you go look at the data, they hit all of the data points that they were supposed to in the trial. Everything looks very, very, very positive when you go and look at it. But then again, that's my opinion. That's my judgment. So what has been going on in the biotech sector recently? Well, if you've been following this channel, following me on my Substack, link below to my free Substack, you know that there is a biotech bull market going on, even amidst a bear market in sort of other sort of growth sectors. Biotech bull market's going on. We've seen some PDUFA gains, not in our portfolio, but like when I'm tracking the sector, there's definitely been a lot of activity. In other words, this setup of PDUFA date, where a stock rockets up as a result of getting approval, that's definitely been unfolding. We haven't seen any in our portfolio ourselves, but we have seen two takeovers. We have seen the takeover of a company called Aveo Pharmaceuticals, which generated for our readers 150% gain. Then there was another one called Myovant Sciences, and they got taken over, and we took gains of 77% there. So we have seen activity of the kind that I am referring to. So just to summarize the basic opportunity in this video, name of the company, Gamida Cell out of Israel. GMDA is the ticker symbol. Stock price in the $1.60 range. In any of the scenarios we talked about, which is a PDUFA date approval where the shorts are forced to cover and pay some very high price, theoretically, 100% gain could be much higher. There's also the possibility that somebody wants control of this drug, control of Gamida Cell, the company, the technology. And, at 120 something $million, would somebody be willing to pay $250 million? Well, $250 million is a drop in the bucket for companies like Pfizer and Merck and Bristol Myers and Amgen. It would be absolutely nothing for them to pay up really that kind of money to buy Gamida Cell. So that's another possibility. Now, 100% would be 320 in terms of the stock price, but the old high on the stock was $15. So, I mean, this really could be pretty conservative. Now, is it guaranteed to happen in one day? Hey, well, it could happen in one day, but it's not going to happen tomorrow, just to be clear. Could take a week, could take a month, maybe it's a year, but still 100% gain. I mean, that's pretty big, and what if it's much, much higher? So I think this is definitely a candidate for what I laid out, which is a $1 stock that could go up 100% in one day, and it is one stock. Okay. So just want to reinforce again that what I'm saying is not investment advice. There are no guarantees, there's no certainty. If the facts are right, if the situation plays out, maybe you make money, maybe you lose money, but hey, it's on you. It's your responsibility. Now, if you're looking for stocks like this, we actively focus on what I call opportunity, growth, innovation. Many of those stocks are speculative, meaning there's risk, but there's also very high returns. Gamida Cell is in our Strong Hands Select membership at atgdigital.media. Subscriptions for this category of stock, this goes under essentially our microcap service. They're for $49.99 per month because, hey, we cannot have too many people come into these stocks all at once. This stock is already in our portfolio, and I'm really doing this presentation just to give you a sort of a flavor, a sense for the kinds of stocks that we focus on at ATG Digital Media about opportunity, growth, innovation in this unbelievable, extraordinary period of time where there are so many incredible opportunities that is really driving situations and opportunities like the one that I have covered today. So check out atgdigital.media. We also have subscriptions for lower prices beginning at $9.99. All right. Also, you can also just support this channel by giving this video a thumbs up, subscribe, come back again next week. Bye.